So smile, smile. We are live. So we are going
Okay.
to talk to Buttons again today about how to get over that depression, that isolation feeling of not getting out, and how to run your business when you're feeling like that. Because every day is just another day, and there's no end to this. And what do you do to actually become more positive? And we were just discussing how positive you have to be for your clients, because there's no use you being depressed and going, well, I don't want to talk to you today. But you still have to be there and be positive. So, Buttons, just tell us again quickly what you do.
Yeah, good afternoon from Swakopmund and the west coast of Namibia. It's a little bit better weather here. We had 2 consecutive weeks of east weather, so that was really bad because it's winter now. But it's a phenomenon that hits us twice a year or so. But happy days, happy Ascension Day for all of you Americans out there. And yes, I'm Buttons Heyns. I'm a partner in a company called Connect People to People, and that's what we're doing here today. We're connecting people, and we
Yes, across the
specialize,
world, baby, across the world.
yeah, and we specialize in events, team building, and conferencing. So as you can imagine, there's no conferencing here. There's no events here. Everything has been cancelled or postponed. There's no travel. But we're trying to do team building online. We've developed a few programs. We've helped a few people. They've helped other people. So yeah, it's that's how we're trying to keep positive and get the message out there that can give people hope. People
Exactly.
must have hope to move.
Exactly. So yes, I know, because I was just with Tim. We were on a call this morning with and I forgot the name in this instant. Tim, what's the name again? So we were talking about depression and what to do every day, and you have to get up and you have to do something, because if you don't, then the time just disappears, and then you get to the end of the day and you say, what did I do and how did I move forward? And especially with business, so I'm used to working by myself on my boat in isolation. I don't talk to people unless it's online, but I do get in my car and I go somewhere during the week and I meet with clients. So there is that interaction. Nancy, we had to talk with Nancy this morning. I knew I'd remember. So you get that interaction, and as a business owner, you have to have that interaction to get new business, because otherwise, how do you get new business in? So Buttons is has been in this sphere of team building and positiveness, and what to do when you do get, what do I do today? Do I get out of bed? Do I actually change my clothes, or do I do my hair? Because nobody's going to see me. But it's so important to have a routine, isn't it, Buttons?
Yeah, it is because you see, what's happening with us is very, very unnatural. Um, so I'm not sure what the levels of COVID or the state or regulations are and what level you are there. But in Namibia, we now in level 2, stage 2. So we just started doing a little bit of business again. People can move around freely again. There's still restrictions on restaurants, on pubs, on drinking, smoking is not a problem here, and certain businesses can't operate. You're not allowed to do sport. Contact sport is out. Not more than 10 people gather. No conferencing, no churching. So that's the type of level we are. So everything that we do, we have to think about the regulations and the influences that COVID-19 has now taken over our lives, actually. So it's in a sense actually becoming our Drusilla, or it has become our Drusilla. So what happens with your mind? What do you think? Because there's uncertainties that's happening. You're not sure what you must do, because 2 or 3 or 4 weeks ago, the buzzwords were you have to get your business ready. You have to check your business. You have to check your SOPs. You have to make a plan. How are you at the at the right level? Are you where you want to be? Check your vision and your mission again. So people were preparing that, and they had time to do that. And now that the door has opened up a little bit, it's like I'm still walking around in small circles. I'm not sure what to do. There's still no tourists coming in, and I can see the despair in the tourist and accommodation and restaurant fraternities. So how are you going to move forward if you don't take that physical step moving forward? It's going to be very difficult. So yes, you have to think about it, and we have just now developed a small program how to get over that despair and get to hope. Because bottom line of this thing is, if you don't have hope, what are you reaching out for?
Yes, exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I think you just had an example of your hairdresser or somebody
Yes.
that also did something.
Yes, I know. So yeah, I had my hair done. Hello, and so she warned us. She normally texts us, and said you have to have a mask, and if you don't have one, she actually supplies you with one. But her whole thing was that she could not go out for the 6 weeks that she was at home because she's got respiratory situations. So she's prime suspect of getting it. So for her is she loved going out. She likes going out and doing stuff. And she comes from Austin for a week here and then goes back for 3 weeks. And so she had to change her whole setup that she had to have that. If she had another customer coming in, that we are separated. So the one chair's in the other room, so we don't. So that's that distancing. And then she had to have her mask on. So now you can imagine she's got a mask on and doing the hair dryer. So it's hot, and you have that thing on your head, and you've got the mask on. It's like being in an oven with that you can't breathe in. But it's just something you have to do. And she had to warn her clients. Obviously, she told all her clients, this is what's going to happen. But you always get that one person that says, well, I'm not going to do this because, I don't believe in this. Because this is all a hoax, worldwide hoax. And she just said to them, okay, that's fine. You have to make an appointment next time. Maybe it's over by then, but you can't come in here. So you have to make a choice. She had to make a choice whether is it safety or is it business? Is it making money? And she made that choice. And so, but she was talking about the depression of staying at home and not being able to do anything. Although she was, she said, she was, every time they would give a date and then they'd move the date, and then she'd have to reschedule all her clients, and she reschedules them for the whole year. But she said it took her what would normally take a week or 2 weeks, took her 6 weeks to organize. She said it's really, and she didn't get dressed, she didn't put on her makeup or anything. So it's a form of depression when you're doing that and you're not taking care of yourself. So, I think just changes, right?
Yeah, and we can also see it, what happens here. People start forming groups, and they call it different names, and they lay out the rules and regulations of that WhatsApp group.
Yes.
And they start communicating. So everybody, I think, are familiar now with all the rules and regulations of their different states and countries about being washed and masked and isolated and communicated and planned and cleaned, and everything is fine. But now we're all prepared. But it's still as if we're still frozen in time. We can't move, and I can see that on all the groups, the people are getting frustrated. Some are getting depressed. Others are getting seriously in a confrontational mode. Yes. People wanna go on a sort of not on a strike, but they want to walk up to Parliament and tell them what to do. So that's what happens when you're unsure of the situation. So And that's why we have this small sessions that we are now doing that we call Let's Travel from Hope to from Despair to Hope. And the thing is that what we are doing, we are calling the different towns, and we are driving from one town to another town, and then we get to that specific town, and the first town that we're going to get to is the town of communication, and then that town has now been locked down, and we have to open up that town when everybody is satisfied that we are able to communicate now, and we have communicated properly. And we have stated our feelings, and we've stated our situation and our stance. Mm-hmm. So when everybody decides that we are now communicating properly, we can then move on to the next town.
So you do this.
We can hand over the.
So you're doing this in the group aspect online. So everybody.
Yes, we're doing it.
Everybody's doing the same tasks and whatever you give them, homework you give them to get from one town to the next, right?
Yeah, we all decide we're moving now, and then when we get to the town, obviously it's online, it's in different groups, and we try to not to do more than 10 at the moment, so not less than 5, but not more than 10. Mm-hmm. So, and then when obviously while you're driving there, you've got all these other hindrances and maybe obstacles and roadblocks in your way of stopping you stopping you communicating properly. Mm-hmm. And those can be despair, it can be distrust, it can be hopelessness, it can be fear, it can be conflict, it can be different things that hinders you from communicating properly. So and we can see that because of communication, doesn't matter with how many people you talk, but you must start talking. You have to take the first step of putting your situation out there.
Yes.
And then sharing it with somebody. So the more you can share it with somebody else, the more ideas will flow from it.
Yes.
And the more better ideas you can get from that.
Yes.
And then you can compare the ideas, and but you have to communicate about it. Otherwise, it's still a situation that you feel frozen, you can't move, you're not sure what to do. Yes. And maybe it's because you alone cannot do it, but the more the merrier, because the more ideas you get, the more people that's together, the better, and the more ideas you will generate.
Yeah, and you need that support. Doesn't matter what happens, right? You really, really need that support. And as I said, we were on this. Nancy does a quick call in the morning, first thing in the morning, and I've not been listening, and she keeps popping up. And this morning I was like, I need to find out what she's talking about. And this is exactly what she said. Just create a group and start communicating. Doesn't matter who you're communicating with. I mean, just texting these days is a form of communication as well. So, but it's better face to face because you're seeing the emotion and everything, right?
Yeah, I think it's important, obviously, to check in with people to see how they feel. I mean, everybody's got a different problem, maybe, but by communicating about it, you're getting it out there.
Exactly.
And you're making people conscious about it. So you are becoming self-aware. People are becoming aware of your problems.
Yes.
And also eventually becoming aware of the solutions, because now you have more brains involved there, so that you can eventually get it to a whole brain thinking process where you can then put it forward and make an action plan out of that. But obviously, like I said, the first thing is you have to start communicating, and if you don't communicate, you will not develop to go towards the next steps.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing that you have to do.
Yes.
I mean, I just read an article, and I want to actually try and get a hold of this woman. An article on online news where this lady said that she and her fiance went into this COVID isolation together for 5 weeks, and after 5 weeks, she actually she cut off ties, and she canceled the engagement. Now,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, well, I don't know what happened there. She did say she did mention a few things,
Yes.
but it eventually all boils down to communication. So what she did say is that in the beginning, the first week or so, it was fine. They washed and cleaned together, and they did all their parts. But later on, he said that his job is actually more taxing than her job. She's in the creative world, and he's in the financial world.
Yeah.
So he doesn't think he should be doing the washing as well and the cooking and all that. And she tried to actually talk to him about it, but he was adamant that he was not actually seeing the problem there.
Yes.
So you could see that they didn't know each other
Yeah.
properly because probably they didn't communicate properly. But
Yeah,
it's good that they did.
I know, right? I know.
Because,
Maybe everybody should be put in isolation before they get married, right? Because these little things.
Yes, now she has cut ties, and luckily they're not getting married. So sorry for her, but that shows you that
Yes.
you don't know your partner.
No.
And it's the same with the people that you are working with in your
Yes.
company.
Yes.
It's necessarily true that if you work with people,
Yes.
you also know the people, and also that you trust the people. So it's sometimes even scary how little you know about your colleagues, and how little you actually trust your colleagues. So
Yes.
if you do not have the trust building factor inside your company, and the communication inside your company, then you're not going to have proper teamwork, and you're not going to develop an effective team, because
Yes.
you have to experience that. And actually tomorrow I'm talking with a friend of mine from the Teambuilding Institute in South Africa exactly on that matter about the new digital, the new and what you have
Zoom.
to do to and what you have to do to do business, to do proper business. So people will have to figure out what they are going to do and how they're going to do their business.
Yes.
If they don't have the, if they do not concentrate on these intangible constructs like communication, trust, support, integrity, then the company will not go forward, or the relationship in a group will not go forward, or the relationship in a sport team will not go forward, or even in a family it will not go forward.
Exactly.
So you have to have open channels of communication, clear communication, frank and quite frank communication, so that you're not hiding something.
Yes.
So you're opening yourself up so that people can see that you are true and that you can be trusted, and that you will have they can sort of care on your and on your trust and your support.
And yet, so I've spoken to a couple of business owners as well, and one of the things was the trust for people that work for them has really come to the forefront. So it's like, you got to come back to work now, and they go, no, I'm getting paid from the government here. I don't want to come back to work. This is really cool. So is that, hey, this is not going to last. You need to come back to work. And what people don't realize, it is not going to last. We are going back to normal where you have to go back to work. And so you got to accept that, there's sacrifices that you have to make and go back to work. And so it is that also the communication, as I've seen with Roy when he worked at home, is, they were on Skype and email and texting, and it was just so discombobulated because all this information coming in, he didn't get anything done, because by the time 10 o'clock came around, all he was doing is typing his emails and on text, and then also I think they used an in-house video conferencing thing, but it's just, it was just all the time, whereas normally they'd just go into a meeting, have a meeting, and then all go back to their desks and get on with their job. So I think businesses have to then now accept that communication is going to be so different, right? Communication is, you got to know and tell your people what the communication lines are and how you're going to communicate before they start working for you. So, and it's different. I think it's also different for people that have a large company, and then for a small business that might only have like 1 or 2 employees, that they have to be very clear about, okay, this is what's going to happen, and you've got to abide by these rules. Finished. Right?
Yeah, I think it's important. It's very, very important to have a structure now that you're working from home. And it's difficult because there's a lot more things that you can distract yourself at home, because the fridge is there, the TV is there. You can drink more coffee, you can walk up, and you're not distracting anybody. But in the end of the line, you're actually distracting yourself if you don't put up a proper program. So have a time to wake up. And then actually going to the office, which is now can be your sitting room or your dining room, but actually sort of clocking in there, and then start your daily routine and work out certain time frames where you want to do what, and then do your calls, check your mails. So put a time frame and a schedule down there, and it also. I can also see that it sort of makes you lazy if you don't have a program, because you don't now want to go out and go and see people now that you can. It's easier just to call them, or Zoom them. So maybe time management will become more important, and maybe sometimes easier. You'll probably be able to save more money because you're not driving that a lot. But it's also important to eventually see people face to face, because people like that. So it's not always going to work, but whilst you still have to work at home, I think work out a proper program and stick to that.
Yeah, exactly. I have to actually get in my car and go and do an implementation this morning or this afternoon. And it's like, oh, do I have to really do that? And I'm going to see my clients, and it's like, oh, I don't really want to do that. I'd rather stay at home and have a cup of tea and work. But, it's just, you have to force yourself. It's like, okay, I have to do this, make the appointment, keep it to the schedule, and do it. And so, and one of the things I keep telling my clients, that especially with e-commerce, most of the time people are working from home. I've got some retail clients, but most of my clients working from home, and you got to keep a schedule. The first thing in the morning, you've got to have things that you need to do and have it on a plan, and then also make sure that you're looking back at the end of the week to see what you've done, because right, for me personally, is I'm drifting into one week to another week. There's just is the same stuff all the time, and you go, what day is it, where am I, what am I doing? Although I do have a schedule, it's still the sameness. I think that's a bit depressing as well, than just staying in a routine. What do you think?
Yeah, and I think what's also very difficult, and what's going to be difficult for people to handle, is that they have now prepared properly and they are ready to start business, but there's just no clients at the moment.
No, yes, exactly. And where to find the clients?
And
exactly.
how do you handle that? So everybody's waiting in a waiting game, and that also leads to frustration. So, and it can be a situation that everybody is now not actually learning anything. They're moving horizontally and they're not moving vertically, and that can frustrate people. And I can see that on all the different groups and news. And what's frustrating people is that they are fed up waiting. They don't get the support that they think they were supposed to get. And I think it's time for us now to maybe move away from that. And it's easier said than done, and I'm not always sure how to do it. And I'm not saying I'm the man that can tell you how to do it, but I can tell you that if a lot of people put their minds together, and I've seen that, and there's actual examples of that, we can move forward, and we have to stay positive. And that's why I say you have to have hope, to move forward, and,
Yes.
and by communicating and developing trust and developing support and addressing those issues, can maybe sort of have a positive outcome on where you're eventually going. Because by being bogged down, you can't think, because it's the way you feel is the way that you think, and it's probably in the end of the day is going to be the way that you behave. So if you are
Yes.
not feeling well, you're not thinking good things, and you're also not probably behaving properly. So it's all about the feel, think, behave, and it's an emotional state of mind that you have to get to, a positive state of mind that you have to get to advance. And I know it's going to be difficult, but if you can experience the change, and the change can become permanent and sustained, then you will probably behave properly later, and you will behave in that state and keep going in that positive frame of mind. I think that's important. That
Yeah, I think also the sorry. I think also the group thing is important, because in a group you tend to bounce ideas off each other. You're listening to other people's opinions, and they are helping you with your thought process. So when I have my workshops, I have clients talking to each other, and they come up with an idea or a problem, then somebody else can answer that problem for you. You're just the facilitator most of the time, although I do tend to tell people what to do. But it's that group environment that keeps people going. I really, really believe in that. And that's also where they actually grow and learn stuff as well, right?
Yeah, of course, they in a certain frame of mind, and that can also be an adventure. Can be a frame of mind. It can be a change that must happen now.
Yes.
And that can be frightening. Change can be frightening. A new discovery can be frightening. Suffering can be frightening. Risk. I mean, there's risk now. That can be frightening. So that you have to experience that and learn out of that. To make a change. So the change it's about how we feel, think, and behave. It boils down to that again. So when we are aware of the change, and we intend to make a positive change, and the change is also maintained over a period of time, then the learning has been conscious, and then it's going to be, and it's intended, and it's going to be lasting. And you have to make that effort, and it's sometimes not easy, but I can tell you it's the way to go. It's the way to proceed, because if we're not going to do that, we are going to have lots of difficulties lying ahead of us. Because what are we doing now? I mean, it's like saying, if the government gives us a lot of money now, or if somebody pays, are they handing the symptoms? Are they actually giving you hope, or are they actually just extending your period of despair? Because when the money is gone again, and you still don't have a plan. You'll have to have a plan, and that plan will have to be implemented, and it has to be effective for you to move forward. And now it's going to be difficult to understand this, and I mean, you cannot go on without funds. But not that I'm saying that it's not necessary for the government to support us. It is necessary, because in a sense we are the people that has given them the money by taxes, etc., etc.
Exactly.
But that's not going to be our lasting survival kit. We have to come up with new ideas. We have to come up with collaborative ideas. We have to come up with unconventional ideas. We have to make new plans, and we have to stay positive, so that we can see light, and not only a little bit of light, but light that will eventually be lasting.
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing about hope is having plans, right? making a plan. Say, okay, in September we're going camping, or we're going to do something. Start booking your vacation right now so that you've got something to look forward to. Even if you have to rebook it, it's something that your brain says, I'm looking forward to it, I have to plan for it, let's move forward. And then the same thing in business is we definitely have to plan for stuff in business, because we have to have sales. Who did I spoke to? Catherine. She's got a business online and a store in the Isle of Jersey, not New Jersey, but the Isle of Jersey off the UK. They've only got 100,000 people. So, and the UK, they don't have like the holidays that we have. We have this weekend is Memorial Day weekend, and then we have July the 4th, and all these holidays that we can base our promotions and sales on. But we have to get ready for Christmas. What's going to happen at Christmas? As a business, you've got to be ready for that, especially in e-commerce. But as a normal business where you are selling services and coaching or whatever, is okay. So what is the next step? What can I plan for? And staying online like we're doing right now and staying in front of people is very, very important. We were just talking about it before we got on, is the way we are doing it is staying in front of everybody, staying positive, so that we can build our businesses, and that's the same thing that everybody else has to be doing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very, very important to keep your brand out there, to keep your business relevant, and have people being aware of it. So I can also see here with the businesses that are really struggling. That's now the tourism business, the lodging, the hotel, restaurants. They are still trying to be relevant by keeping their name out there, by putting up specials, by doing the local is lekker thing where they have special prizes for local tours. So this is a long weekend in Namibia here. So a lot of people are from inland. They're all on their way to if they're not here already, the coast. So it'll be a very busy weekend at the coast. Although it's only going to be local people, that still there's a flow of income, and there's going to be an exchange of monies, and there's going to be probably just for people to get out from where they normally were, from the different cities, and go visit something else, is going to be something that will also build out, also meet new people. So it's important that you keep relevant and keep talking to people and keep your brand out there.
Yeah, I think just staying in front of people is super, super important, and that's also positive. As soon as you have to talk to somebody and you have to keep smiling, it makes you positive, right? I mean, that's one of the first things that somebody said to me about feeling down is, if you smile, how can you feel down? So you've got to keep smiling. But talking to people is when you're smiling to somebody, when you're exchanging your stories and experiences, is what makes you feel good, is that communication. Yeah,
I got a friend, and he says that don't be a problem solver, rather be a solution seeker. So if you talk to somebody this weekend, somebody new, or try and make new friends, and try and talk to somebody that you normally don't talk to. You might get positive ideas, you might get new ideas. Don't go and talk about the bad things about what's happening to us now. Rather talk about positive things, and rather talk about how we find a solution. Than all the problems that we have and how we can solve the problems. Maybe by the time we get a solution for that problem, it's well done and dusted, and it's over. It's out of there. We'd rather have a new solution. Seek a solution.
Exactly. I like that idea. You have a solution, not a problem, because people tend to talk about problems and what's bad too much. They don't talk about the positive stuff, unfortunately. It's in human nature, as we would say in Namibia, we're skinnering, we're talking about people. So it's always all the bad stuff. So we got to stay positive. Even if you in the only one person in the group, tell everybody to shut up and be positive. Right.
Yeah, well, that's good. And I think that's the note that we have to go into
Yes.
for the rest of the coming week.
Yes.
Is to stay positive and seek for a new solution.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, this is very exciting. So we're going to be continuing this conversation because with the stuff that Francois is doing, is we're going to handle every single little piece every time we talk. And hopefully by the time we finish this series, we'll be out of this and we'll be positive and all going gung-ho. So thanks for listening and popping in. And if you're listening to this afterwards, if you need any help, put your questions in the comments. We'll come back and answer them. Or please share, because we love people that share. And you can get in touch with Francois at buttons at
connectpeople.com.now.
And I will put that in the comments in the description as well, and also his website and my information, since I help people build their businesses online. So thanks for popping in, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye-bye. Keep